Hi, folks. I am Coach Tiffany. I help people heal their relationship with food and their body so that they can finally find peace and ease and joy and satisfaction. All right. So today we're going to be talking about pleasure and fun. So I find that so many of my clients, and myself included, previous to doing this work, struggle to access pleasure and have fun. And there's so many reasons for this. First, I find that, well, first of all, humans have a negativity bias. And this negativity bias is important, and there's a reason we have it. It is so that, if you're on a path and there's like boulders that are falling down, you want to recognize that because that is a danger, right? And you want to remember that for future times you walk down that path. You don't want to get taken out by a boulder. So our brains are wired naturally to notice the things that are negative, that feel scary or dangerous or bad, and to really highlight those and take note of those. So that's just first like human inherent nature. Now we can shift that a little bit by really starting to take in all of our experiences, right? And really highlight those pleasurable experiences. So when you're doing a body scan, for example, and I recommend the Breathing Room app by Reembody for support around body scans if you're not working with a coach like me. Then when you're doing the body scan, you want to sometimes we'll do the body scan because we're feeling upset and we need to go investigate that and figure out what's causing us to feel upset and recognize the sensations that are present and honor them. But at other times, we can do a body scan and check in and see what pleasurable sensations are present in my body and really let those grow and allow ourselves to just kind of simmer in it and enjoy that moment. So that's one thing that you can do in terms of negativity bias is really just get curious about it, start to notice it, and again, highlight other experiences. So maybe when you meet up with a friend, you have a practice where you tell each other the most exciting thing that's happened to you this week, or share about any adventures maybe you're having, right? Something like that. Sometimes people do gratitude practices for this reason, although I do find that gratitude practices can have an inherent should present with them. And sometimes it becomes really routine. So just be kind of aware of that. All right, so that's number one, negativity bias. Number two is really, does it feel safe to feel pleasure? And a lot of times it doesn't. So if you are struggling with nervous system regulation, if you are having a lot of conflict in your life, if you were told as a child that, um, it's bad to enjoy yourself, right? That we should all kind of be martyrs. It may not feel safe to feel pleasure. So really addressing, what do I need to feel safe and relaxed and be able to access pleasure can be really, really helpful. All right. And then the last piece is deserve. And this is the one that I find is really complex and nuanced and layered, but I want to give you a sense of some areas to explore. So deserve around pleasure, in particular for people who are more caretakers, who maybe are high achievers or who have a lot of shoulds in their minds, this can be really challenging. So you might find that when you start to look at this, you realize that you don't feel like you deserve to access pleasure. You don't feel like it's an inherent right, that as a human, you deserve pleasure. And we all actually need pleasure. This is a really important, it's an important experience to be having. And it's a way that we fill up. And it's a way that our nervous systems regulate. So yeah, so let me just tell you right now, you do deserve to access pleasure and make it a priority in your life and to have fun and joy and satisfaction. You absolutely do. But there's some reasons you might not fully feel that in your body, even if you believe mentally that you should be able to, or you should deserve to access pleasure. You may not really know that in your bones yet. And so here's some areas to explore. So first off, what was the messaging that you got as a child around pleasure? Did you get shamed for enjoying things, for being loud and like squealing and laughing? Did you get shamed for maybe self-pleasure, like masturbation when you were a child? What was the message around it? Is it shameful to deserve pleasure or to access pleasure? If the answer is yes, then you definitely want to do some work around, trauma healing in that way. Maybe get some support from a therapist, or, there's lots of kind of pleasure access type courses and books out there. Pleasure activism is one of them, which I personally have not read, but that's a book that I've heard a lot of good things about. Okay, so what is your belief system around pleasure and shame, or your wiring, I guess, not necessarily your belief around it? And can you start to dismantle some of that? Can you start to be curious and really rewire? Like, it's possible that it's not shameful to access pleasure. It's possible that I'm not bad if I have pleasure in my life, right? So starting to ask yourself those types of, or rewire in that sort of way. Ask yourself, what is possible? How can I shift this? But first, you want to be really curious about it and give yourself space to feel how you feel about it. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about this putting others first. So a lot of time people come to me and they say, well, yeah, I mean, all these other things need to happen, and like, it's just low on my priority list. And that really is a form of caretaking of others, right? And this is about boundaries, and this is about understanding your value and your worth as constant and non-negotiable, and making it clear that, or acting in a way that validates your value. So you deserve to be your priority, and like the priority. And this can be really hard for people to hear, because sometimes it feels like, well, I shouldn't be the priority over other things. And certainly if you have little children who can't get themselves fed, like, you may need to put that first before going and like having, I don't know, some time in a hot tub or something, right? Getting your nails done, whatever it is, having sex. You might need to take care of the littles first. But in general, you're the person who is in charge of your body, yourself, taking care of yourself throughout your lifetime, and no one else is going to make you the priority. So it really is, it's on you to make yourself the priority, and coming to a place where it feels okay to do that can be really, really challenging. But you definitely deserve to be your priority, and there's nothing selfish about being your priority. It doesn't mean you're going to suddenly turn into the kind of person who ignores all the things around you that need to be done, or doesn't take care of other things. In fact, it might make you feel even, lost my headphones. It might make you feel even more resourced, so that you can participate in those things more easily, so that you can feel good about doing that. I do recommend the book Burnout by Emily and Amelia Nagoski. They talk about human giver syndrome instead of being a human being. Many of us tend to be human givers, so we're taking care of everybody else before ourselves. And I really enjoyed that book on audio, especially. All right, and then the last piece is kind of that, if I'm not good enough, and then it's really hard to make myself as equally a priority as other people, or more of a priority than other people, because I don't feel like I deserve it. They deserve it over me, right? So really looking at, what are the things that cause me to feel not good enough? Do I have some things that I feel a lot of shame around? I've had clients share with me that they feel like they're a monster, or that they're poison, or there's something inherently wrong with them that means that they are not good enough. And so if you feel like you are a monster, it's going to be really hard to make yourself a priority and feel like you deserve to be cared for and to be nurtured. And pleasure is absolutely nurturance. So really starting to look at, what are the things that make me feel shame? And where are the wounds there that I need to heal in order to feel like I am good enough and I deserve to be cared for and nurtured and receive pleasure. A lot of times we'll look at forgiveness practices. And so starting to focus in on, how do I forgive myself for things that, either dismantling wiring that maybe someone else gave to you essentially, right? Maybe your caregivers gave you this message that there was something wrong with you. And so we're dismantling that wiring. Or we may have done something that we feel, a lot of shame around. So maybe you weren't able to parent a child the way that you wanted to, or maybe you got in a car accident and harmed someone, or basically anything that you are feeling that your value and your worth is diminished by. And so anything that you feel guilt and shame around, we'll want to do some work around grieving, and then do some work around self-forgiveness, and recognize that your value and your worth isn't diminished because you made a mistake. Every human makes mistakes, and you're here, you're growing, and you still deserve to have pleasure. All right. So that was a little heavier than some of my other blogs, but I hope that this was helpful for you in looking at what are the things that kind of derail me from feeling like I deserve to experience pleasure and access pleasure and fun and joy, and maybe start thinking about healing those pieces, and then how can I start to incorporate more pleasure in my life. I hope this was helpful, and feel free to reach out to me if you would like support in healing your relationship with food in your body. I do have some groups coming up, and I also have some private coaching spots. So I'm happy to help support you. You can reach out to me via email, tiffany@coachtiffanyrn.com, or via my quiz on my website. There you can go through the quiz and then get support from me after. So the quiz is on my website, coachtiffanyrn.com/quiz. All right, thanks so much. Have a good day.